Hey everybody, I'm going to give you a tour today of my garden that has vegetables and flowers in it. So I guess it's a bit of a potager garden, but I think that you'll enjoy. There's some shrubs, some vegetables, some flowers, some herbs, um, and so we'll take a look at all the different ones. Um, we'll start over here with the incredible growth. I have some tomatoes, and I'm not sure what variety this is. It just happened to be a seed packet that I had, and it's over my head. I am only 5 feet tall, but it's probably a good 5.5 feet at this point. We have tomatoes that are getting quite large. If you want to see what size that is, that's my hand, and that's the tomato. So pretty big. I've got quite a few of them on there. I'm looking forward to harvesting those eventually, and I have 4 of those plants in here. So I've kind of rigged up some staking. There's various poles and stakes that I've had to use to try to keep them upright. Because when we get some wind, boy, they do like to try to fall over. So I did trim up some of the bottoms to make for a little bit more airflow, um, and put a little more energy towards the tomatoes, but they still are really bushy. In the front here of the bed, we have some different kinds of lettuces that I'm letting go to seed, along with arugula, which is the white flower. And then over here, I still have a basil, and it is probably going to flower soon, but I'm trying to postpone that by pinching it. And I do have a strawberry plant back here. It's covered up with some mesh fencing because the birds ate most of my strawberries. I think I got 3 strawberries off of that plant before the birds got the rest. Then I have I think it's called purple wine smoke bush, and I planted that. It came in a really small can. Bought it through the mail, through Home Depot. It's a Proven Winners variety, and it's not supposed to get too big, but I really loved the color of it. I'm not a big fan of smoke bush usually, but the color on this one is just gorgeous. So, like that. There's some daylilies behind there, and if you don't know it already, you can eat the buds from the daylilies, and they taste pretty good. One time I had some fried up with some steak in a cast iron skillet over the fire in the middle of nowhere once, because the lily buds were the only vegetable that was around. All right, so I'm going to back up a bit here so you can take in the full trellising of the butternut squash here. You can see there's a couple, actually there's 3 on here that are quite large and close to being ready for harvest. But those are over 6 feet tall at this point, and there are just 3 plants there. Maybe there's only 1 squash per plant. I don't know. I did have a couple very small ones get a little bit of rot and fall off. So, and there's a little bit of yellowing on some leaves. This is my first time growing butternut squash though, so I don't know what might be wrong. Anyways, I got 3, so I'm happy. So far, so good. I did plant some broccoli. Super epic fail. I just cut the top off because it was being eaten alive by whatever bug likes broccoli. So, goodbye to the broccoli. This is a petite plum 9-bark bush. I think it gets about 4 feet tall and wide, and should have some flowers on it. Hopefully it doesn't get too big, but I wanted to plant it here just to give a little bit of shade, so I'll trim up the canopy as it grows. Over here we have 2 9-bark in front of the other 2 beds here. And those are summer wine 9-bark. So those will get bigger, probably 6 feet tall. And they have a fairly graceful habit about them. So maybe if I'm lucky, I'll be able to create like some arches to walk through. You might have to duck a little bit, but I just think that would be pretty because they do also flower and the color's gorgeous. And here's my other purple wine smoke bush, which gets a great deal more sun because, as you can see, when the tomatoes grew up around the other one, they really shade it, so it's not growing quite as quickly as this one. But look at the color on that. The purple with the maroon and kind of a bluish waxy tint on the leaves. Gorgeous. And then with the iris blue leaves behind it, I just think that's really pretty. I have some ornamental oregano here, along with some, I think these are called Potocas. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. They're just an annual. And then here I have some white daylilies that I rescued from an area, which I might show you eventually. There's some poison ivy growing in part of my yard, along with some bishop's weed. So I'm killing it off, but I wanted to save these lilies because they're white and they smell so good. So they look really crummy right now, but they will be happy. They'll be fine. Lilies are tough. And there's some other lilies behind here which are not blooming right now, but there is one in the other bed that's blooming, so let me show you what that looks like. They're kind of a peachy cream color, an off-white, which is really nice. And then we have some liatris, and if you look really closely, these are not weeds, they are baby carrots. So trying to see if I can grow some baby carrots in time for a fall harvest. And then some purple basil. Basil. My grandma said razzle dazzle basil. You're supposed to say it basil. I think you can say it either way, but we'll see. What you think? Is it basil or basil? Over here we have some Walker's Low Nepeta, along with a small Amsonium, which is done blooming for the season. It has nice blue star flowers. I showed you a larger one of those that had been in the ground for years, but this one's only been here since last year. And then a beautiful blue sedum. I have the name of that one someplace in the house, but I cannot recall off the top of my head what it's called. But I love the purple and blues and pinks in that foliage. I have just some little volunteer cone flowers that I put in here, and you can see there is some carrot starting to grow in there as well, which I just tossed some carrot seeds in the ground, you guys, so we'll see how many we actually get or that grow, because I'm not really watering them either. And then some powwow white echinacea. These are the first white ones that I have. I really like those though. I haven't seen a lot of butterflies or bees on these, but they did just open, so I think that will probably happen with time. And then some violets. Those are purple violets. They kind of take over our lawn if we don't keep them in check, but they're so pretty. Some sweet potato vine, a bubblegum pink Super Tuna Vista. I can never say that very well. And some potatoes. These are red potatoes. They're just finishing up flowering. So my guess is maybe in a couple weeks the foliage will start to yellow and then I'll be able to harvest them. I've never grown potatoes before, so I'm hoping that I at least get some. I just had a few potatoes that were going to be put in the compost pile, so I figured, oh, what the heck, I'll throw them in the garden and see what happens. And boy, sure enough, they grew. So I will let you know if I get a harvest from them. Then in this bed along the edge, I have a rose in the back